Hi guys, how are you? Welcome to the channel. Today I wanted to share with you my September TBR and my August reading wrap up. I'm really late to getting this done because I've tried to film this several times and I hated every bit of footage that I made. So here we are again, giving it another shot. So I read 4 books in August. It was not a great reading month for me. I just had a lot going on and I didn't get much done, but I have 3 physical and then I have 1 that I gave away to somebody else already. So I'll start with that one. That was Dark Harvest by Norman Partridge. It is a really cool Halloween themed book. It's about this town that has a tradition every year. The high school boys have to go and fight off this, I don't know what you would even call it, this like pumpkin entity that comes from the cornfield. It comes alive every year. The boys have to fight it off. And if they don't, then he starts killing, I think. And if they do, whatever boy does kill this creature, I don't want to tell you what happens to that boy, but he is the winner. And then it kind of goes from there. And the story had a really good double meaning. It was spooky and scary, but it also had a really cool just double layer of meaning behind it. Basically a lot of self-reflection and a lot of layers regarding tradition and the forefathers, the grandfathers, the father, like, you know, every generation prior to those boys has had to do this tradition. And it was interesting. Much better than the Netflix adaptation, but I do recommend watching that after you read the book because the Netflix adaptation makes it a little bit more understandable. The book can be confusing if you are not familiar with the concept at all. So anyway, I read that first. I gave that 4 stars. And then I read Someone We Know by Shari Lapena. This is a thriller. It is this book about a neighborhood full of people and everybody has their secrets. There are different POVs throughout the book. There are different things going on. Like we've got this adolescent boy who is just causing trouble. We have cheating involved with neighbors and friends. There is this busybody lady who is kind of just inserting herself wherever she doesn't belong. And there's just like a lot of layers to this story, but the ending was really, really good. So I didn't really care for the book until we got to the end. That is when things really kind of wrapped up nicely. And at that point, I had somewhat of an idea of who did it. There is murder, so it's like a whodunit murder mystery type of deal as well. And I kind of had an idea on who it could have been, but I was slightly off. And I found myself thinking by the end, I was like, you know what, I would do that for my family as well, which that might have spoiled. That might have spoiled it, but not really, because everybody in this book has a family. So you still don't know who did it because they've all got families. But anyway, I gave this one a 3.5 star rating, which is pretty good for me. Thrillers are a trickier thing for me to rate because I find that I can guess it a lot of the time, or I find that it's not as surprising of a twist as I would like. And so I think 3.5 stars is fair for this one. The last 2 books I read in August are part of a series that I am slowly becoming so obsessed with. It is the Royals series by Erin Watt. So I read book 1 and 2. So we've got book 1, which is Paper Princess, and it's so good, you guys. If there's anything that you take away from this video, it's that you should read this series. So it is a YA romance, but it is more than that. So if you took Gossip Girl and Daisy Hates and like Magnolia Parks, and if you put them all together, this is kind of a resemblance of that, but this is way more in depth with things. There's a lot more real life problems that these characters deal with. It's not all drama. There are some actual deeper things that they are battling. And so I really appreciated that and the way the author wrote about it. We have our main character, Ella. She is essentially on her own now. Her mom, something happens to her mom, something happened to her dad. So she's this 17-year-old stripper, and she's just trying to survive. And then this guy comes along and he's like, hey, I'm your uncle so-and-so, not by blood, and I now have legal custody of you, so you're coming with me. And if you run from us, we will find you. And if you stay with us, I'll give you 10 grand a month. So Ella is like, hell yeah, I want 10 grand a month. Fuck yeah. I don't have to strip anymore. Perfect. And she goes and stays with this family, this man and his, I think there's 4 sons. And each son is kind of bullying Ella to try and get her to get to the root of why she's there, because they don't understand why their dad brought this outsider in, and they are really rich. So they're trying to kind of protect themselves. So they bully her a lot. But there's also romance, because actually 2 of the brothers have shown interest in Ella, and there is something beautiful brewing with one of them. So the first book kind of gives us our backstory on all of the characters, kind of builds things up for us, builds the world, builds the atmosphere. And then I gave this 5 stars, by the way, 5 stars. And then we get to our second book. This is Broken Prince. In this book, I'm not going to tell you too much because you do have to read these in order, but we get a lot more of Ella and Reed, which is the brother that she's now starting to kind of form something with. And keep in mind, these are not her actual brothers. They're not even really her stepbrothers, so there's no relation. But we get a lot more of the 2 of these guys in this book, and I just really love their story. There's also a really crazy cliffhanger at the end of the book, and that helps us roll into book 3 really smoothly and quickly. And the cliffhanger is insane. I literally was like, I was reading it and I was just like, no way. Ooh, no way. I have to know what happens. I can't wait to finish book 3. If you know, you know, and don't spoil it for us. But 5 stars, easy. So that's all I read in August. Kind of pathetic, I know. Now let's talk about September. And I do want to do a reading vlog with some of these because I actually like doing those. They're just really hard to like edit and film. So I'm technically working from home today. So there's private stuff on there. Confidential. Okay, so if you hear like an Outlook noise in the background, like a doo-doo, ignore it. Okay, so I want to read these books this September, this month. I typically read between 2 and 11 books a month. I know, crazy range there. It really depends on my mental health that month. Some months I don't even want to think about a book. Other months, all I want to do is read. I don't want to talk to anyone. I don't want to be social. I just want to sit in my bed, rot away, and read a book. So hopefully that's going to be September because I have 11 books that I chose. So the first book that I've already started is Twisted Palace, book 3 of the Royals series. This is the one where I just mentioned how we left off on a really wild cliffhanger in book 2. And so rolled right into book 3, and it just like, the pace has picked up immediately. I cannot wait to see where this is going to take us. I think I got to chapter 5. Yes. I don't want to spoil anything, but I will tell you there is murder in this series. Murder. So we have now got an angsty romance sprinkled with some murder and sprinkled with another little situation that I'm not going to tell you about. So I want to finish that this month. And then I want to read this, Nettle and Bone by T. Kingfisher. This is technically a fantasy. I thought it was horror, but no, this is a fantasy. A like fairy tale witchy fantasy with a really ominous vibe. This one's creepy AF. Look at this cover. Like, I don't know if she's human. I don't think so. Good Girls Stay Quiet by Joe Cassidy. This is a little creepy horror book about this 15-year-old Cora who has secrets, and they are all kept in her diary. And her biggest secret is her daddy. I don't know what's going on exactly with that, but I think that he's a human that is keeping her Cora alive. I think she's some kind of creepy entity, but I don't know. I'm speculating. Anyway, her journal goes missing. So she's now got to become friends with all these people to find out who is the thief. There's blackmailing. There is just crazy secrets going on, and jail, and possibly death. So I don't know what this is going to be about, but it sounds like it'll be a ride. Okay, so some romance that I want to read. Fall is more like fantasy and horror and maybe thriller for me, but I do have some romance that I kind of want to get out of the way. So The Fake Mate by Lana Ferguson. This is the wolf shifter romance that you have all probably heard of. I've not read it yet because I'm slow AF, but I'm excited to read it. I've heard that some of the more spicy scenes in this are really weird because it's two wolves mating, essentially. I don't really need to read about that. I kind of got the concept, I kind of get the gist of how wolves mate, so I don't really want to read that. I might skip over some of that, but I'm hoping that it's just going to be a really, unique, interesting, paranormal romance, and, hopefully it'll be at least a 4-star. And then I want to read In the Weeds by B.K. Borison. This is the this is the fall book. This is book 1. This is a grumpy farmer and a no-nonsense social media influencer. And it's just a cute fall rom-com. There is some mixed media too, which is exciting. I might put this in a vlog. We'll see. The 7-Year Slip by Ashley Poston. Everybody and their mother has read this, rated it really high, and talked about it, how good it is. I need to get with it because I really want to read this, and I think I'm going to put this in the vlog too. So this is a magical realism romance, and it's about this woman who rents this apartment, and then this guy, I think it's a ghost, but this guy is in this apartment, and he's from 7 years prior. So 7 years before she technically is in the apartment, if that makes any sense at all. So basically we're time traveling, but I think that there's going to be a love situation going on. She's going to fall in love with whoever this ghost is from the past. So I'm very curious to see how that's going to work out. I want to read a thriller because I have so many that I just have to get going with reading them. So The Last Housewife by Ashley Winstead. So reading the premise of this, it's not that high on my priority list to read after all, because it doesn't really, I don't know, I'm kind of not gravitated towards it. I don't know if it's just the way that the synopsis is written or what, but it's basically about these 3 best friends, and one of them ends up dead. Murder mystery, and I don't love murder mysteries. I find them to be a little bit annoying. They don't really mystify me, so I don't know. I plan on reading it, but if I don't get to it, I'm not going to be upset about it. Edenville by Sam Rebellion. This is so interesting to me. So it is about this couple who is going back to one of their hometowns to do some work. And they're starting to realize that there's some creepy, weird shit going on in this town. It looks cute. The people are friendly. Everybody seems innocent. But while they're there, weird things begin to happen. And it's not lining up with what the town looks to be. So I'm super curious to see what on earth is going on. This is going to be in the vlog for sure. Mr. Lullaby by J.H. Markert. This is like if It and Insidious had a baby, it would be this. So this is about this entity that lives underground in these tunnels, and it hums lullabies to lure in children. Once it lures in these children, it captures their souls, it puts them in a coma, and now their body is open for other evil entities to jump into it. But this thing that lures these children down, it captures their souls, and it just has this buildup of kids' souls, and I don't know what it wants to do with them, but I'm so excited to read this. So I just really hope that this is scary. That's my only, I just want to be scared. I just want a horror book to actually horrify me for once. The last book I want to read is Craven Manor by Darcy Coates. So Darcy Coates is a hit or miss author for me. I find that her short stories are not great, but her longer stories seem to be pretty good. And this is a longer one, so I have some high hopes, but it's about this man, Daniel, who receives this opportunity to be a groundskeeper at this ancient estate. So he takes it. He lives in the guest house, and this is an abandoned property. So he's seeing lights turning on, and he's just seeing things happening that wouldn't happen at an abandoned property. And so he's kind of like, what the heck is going on? I'm not actually alone here, clearly. So it turns into a ghost story, I think, or a haunting of some sort. So I hope it's good. It's like a cozy horror, which is Darcy Coates' specialty. That is all that I'm going to be reading in September. If you like this video, please give a thumbs up and subscribe, and stay tuned for a follow-up reading vlog where we're going to read some of this together. So thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you next time.